Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Ego on Break. I'm your host, Dynamite J. Andrews, and joined by the Mississippi Madman, and he doesn't have nothing on his face today, so it's an improvement. So, yeah, as always, or not always, but sometimes our unofficial, not official, could be official. They wanted to be official sponsor, Taco Bell. So today we're just going to talk a little wrestling. There's been quite a few things happened in the news. There it went. I knew it'd come.
I know. So, damn pollen's killing me, man.
We're going to talk just a little bit about wrestling, some things that happened. Unfortunately, a lot of things came up with the Hard Knock show that was taking place last Saturday.
So it's canceled until June.
Yep. So it's on a mini hiatus until June.
High karate hiatus, yeah.
So we hate that, but hopefully it kicks back off and it's in full swing.
That's all I can tell you the exact date. I have to look
so right now it's in the planning stages to come back to Jackson in June, and we're getting ready for Friday night in Meridian. We got Eagle Mania, the Pathway to Flowers, and that's just another stop on the path of Pride 5, and getting ready for that here in Jackson, Mississippi. But
bring a damn machete to that shit.
Chop off the path. So the path ends here. So yeah, you won't have to hear any more path events till next year. After May 19th, we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming. So we're gonna kick that off. But I think some of the biggest news, like at least in the wrestling world, we had a couple legends. Mr. Number One, Paul Jones, and Bruno Sammartino passed away. So we send condolences to the family of those guys and the fans, and hate to see it happen.
Yeah, everybody's got to go at some point.
Yeah, I mean, we've all got our days numbered, so just hope that they had made prior arrangements.
Yeah.
And then Pentagon Jr. won the Impact Wrestling heavyweight title, and just the titles, like they just debuted all new titles, which are super cool. Oh man, they look so good. But congrats to Pentagon Jr. It's a big win just for Lucha, is to come into the mainstream. And I mean, you say, oh well, Rey Mysterio won the WWF title, but it's kind of not the same thing. But really cool that Penta did that, and he's trailing, leading the way, for guys to come into. Yeah, but it's definitely a clear indicator that Impact is not the same Impact that you've been hating on for years. So Tessa Blanchard, she made her debut at Impact. A lot of people was like, oh, she's going to be at WWF because Ricochet's there, and she was in the Mae Young Classic, and bada bing, bada boom, she's at Impact.
She's where the money's at for now.
Yeah, well, go where you're wanted, not where you want to be. So
I'm sorry, WWE's such a cluster right now. I don't think anybody really stands up.
Well, it's the thing, man. It's when you've got everybody, you know what I mean? Like, who's special? And they've got to where they don't build wrestlers anymore. They build a brand.
Yep.
And that's why you hear people complain, oh, well, they didn't do right with this guy, or this guy isn't over like he should be. Well, they don't want him to be. They don't want you to come there to see Hulk Hogan. They want you to come see WWE. They don't want you to come see Bray Wyatt. They want you to see WWE. They don't want you to see John Cena. They want WWE, So
everybody just blends in together. It's so cookie cutter now. It isn't even funny.
Absolutely, the coolest thing is those guys you've seen in your high school gyms and your armories are now there making some money. That's the coolest part about it. But when one guy leaves the indies, it opens up a door for another guy, and there is a plethora of new young talent that is floating around, and I'm happy to see new guys evolving.
Good for them.
So, watching the wrestling lately?
Ring of Honor and what's that I watched? A movie called Choke Slam. It was made in Canada.
Oh, cool.
It had Lance Storm in it.
Oh, did it?
Only for like a minute.
Yeah, hey, in it. Oh, speaking of guys being in it for just a minute, Styles champion O'Shea Edwards was just on VH1 last night on like Hip Hop in Atlanta or Love in Georgia, something like that. I don't know the exact name of the show, but congrats for O'Shea Edwards for being on VH1. And it wasn't like, hey, I'm a security guard. It was like wrestling match. Yeah, he did that in NXT. But he was in a match for Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment. It's a big company over in Georgia, and guessing that one of the guys from the reality show tried to be a wrestler is, if I had to guess. And he was on there. So kudos for AWE for making that big step into getting into mainstream, and kudos for O'Shea Edwards, the current Styles champion. Yeah. So big things happening, you know. But you said you watched Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
You'll give us a rundown.
Into the women's tournament, and I understood why they did it, but it's like their TV tapings are behind their pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So like they're just now catching up to their pay-per-view this week.
Yeah, and you already
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So or 3 weeks ago, I think. So,
Well, WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah. So yeah, been a little while. Yeah, here we go with a bunch of names I can barely pronounce. Mayu Iwatani versus Kelly Klein.
All right.
Kelly Klein choked her out. I like Mayu though, man. She was just a vicious little thing, and like she held Kelly, and Kelly's a big girl.
Yeah.
I like the match. That was probably my favorite match of all three of these.
All right.
Tenille Dashwood.
The former Emma.
Yeah, I wish you'd stuck with Emma. Cause that name is.
Well, Tenille Dashwood's a real name. So.
Yeah, well, you know. My
Blame her parents.
Shay, that's why I said Logan.
Blame her parents.
I have to blame her for choosing to go by Tenille Dashwood. Anyway, it's her and Sumie Sakie, and Sumie Sakie's been in Ring of Honor since one of the first shows, and she went over to Tenille Dashwood, and they had a really decent match. Again, Sumie's so small compared to Tenille, but they went at it, man. I mean, none of all these were like, I want to watch women's wrestling. Yeah. It wasn't a Divas division or a WWE women's division. I wanted to watch this.
I got you.
Kelly Klein versus Sumie Sakie is the main event. Sumie goes over and literally is crying her eyes out because she won the Ring of Honor.
That's cool.
Women's title.
Yeah, I definitely would have lost that. We should have bet on that because I figured it would come down to Kelly Klein and Tenille Dashwood, and then Klein would get the title. Because she's been dominant in Ring of Honor. So I'm really surprised that she didn't get the...
They kind of did the same booking with her that they did with Asuka.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all of them were good matches, and like they did like a handshake before the main event. Like, you know, they were like, you know, tradition of blah, blah, blah. And they're like, they always show the belt, and they always have a handshake.
Yeah.
So she did a handshake and stiffed her. So Sumie, like as soon as the match started, man, she charged her, started beating the shit out of her, and I was like, whoa! I was like, you know, you just see the good guy do that, but she's like, that damn.
Well, she was underdog. You know, she had to bring the fight.
Bro,
so
she brought her like a little.
Congrats to Sumie Sakie.
Chihuahua on a pit bull.
So she's the first Women of Honor champion. So very cool for her. Yeah, that's really cool.
But it was just cool to watch a wrestling match. It was like a wrestling match, and didn't get bitch, stop. You know, I want to see wrestling. I don't want to see. Stop.
He's mad because he lost a bet. That's what
I know. I don't want to. I'm mad about that too, but still.
We apologize for.
No, I don't apologize. I'm tired of seeing that crap.
The Mississippi Mad Woman over here losing his losing his language over here. So.
But it was good to see wrestling on TV by women.
Absolutely. Speaking of titles, this is kind of big. The NWA champion just wrestled in China, and he wrestled Colt Cabana. It's Nick Aldis, and it was the first NWA title match that had ever taken place in China. So super cool.
I saw that on Colt Cabana's podcast,
and it was cool because like the China, I think like either the Chinese government or like a big corporation in China or whatever, they're the one that kind of organized this trip. And
you tell her where it was held at?
No,
I do.
You know,
outside a huge Walmart.
Whatever. But I just thought it was cool because like they said they like they looked up each of the titles that were available, and when they saw the history of the NWA title, that's what made them want to have it, have that title represented there or whatever, defended there. So it's very cool, and kind of a local, I say a local female wrestler, and Barbie Hayden was a part of that tour. So very cool for Barbie to be able to go to China. So kudos.
Like, cause have you listened to any of the new Colt Cabana podcast? The way he's
doing
it's.
I'm not gonna say I like it,
and some people do. So
I haven't made my mind up.
I like it. I think it's different, but like it's more or less like he's doing a documentary, but you're only hearing words.
Yeah.
So, but he was saying, he's like, I'd never done a show at a Walmart, and this is one of the biggest shows I've ever been on.
Yeah.
And it's at a Walmart. So I thought, I was like, I saw Daniel Bryan started at a Walmart.
Yes, so hey, after 20 years, you may have kicked off your career.
Exactly, there you go, in China.
Yeah, but super cool, I just thought that was really different, and, as independent wrestlers, or at least independent companies, we always have, the day before the event starts, somebody's going to back out. And legit, that happened for this trip. There was a wrestler named Barrington, and I don't know who he was. This is just from the Cabana podcast. Yeah. But, the day before they were leaving, he goes, oh, well, I couldn't get my passport, so I ain't going to make it.
Yep.
And luckily, Alex Hammerstone, I think that's his name.
I can't remember. I remember the story you're talking about.
But he luckily they knew he had his passport stuff because he had been on a trip before to China.
Yep.
And so he got the booking 2 hours before the plane left. So pretty cool for that, But whoever Barrington is, I bet he hated himself for not being able to go to China.
It's probably a once-in-a-lifetime trip, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean? It's not every day.
You go get off
right.
That?
So, and I think the guy said he got to China at 12 that day and was leaving 9 that next morning, so he wasn't even there 24 hours. But
I bet he was jet lagged as hell.
Oh man, I bet so.
And had to wrestle.
Yeah, and had to wrestle. So, but just pretty cool that that took place. So, kudos to all those guys. Kudos to the guys over at Wrestling from Hollywood. I think they were the guys that are over it. And speaking of NWA, there's a bit of controversy going around. There's a guy, I believe his name's Nick Cutler, and he had a NWA parody shirt. The 3 letters with the 2 guys wrestling, their logo or whatever. And they took the letters out, made it a solid block, and had his name there or whatever. And he gets cease and desist message through Facebook that the NWA is going to sue him if he doesn't stop using that shirt or whatever. So, it's kind of funny.
It doesn't say NWA?
No. Now it resembles their logo. You can tell he took their logo, and done some work to it, so it's not the exact logo.
Yeah.
Made it his own. But but what's funnier is the fact that he's getting the cease and desist order through Facebook, through a Facebook message. So pretty funny.
Is that legal?
I have no idea. I mean, I guess you can tell people to stop any way you want to. It's
I just slapped you and told you to stop doing female wrestling. So.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember leaving my wig at home. But I just thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And I actually watched some Mid-South Wrestling, and it was from May 9th, 1985. And it happens to be the episode that you've quoted a few times as far as your first memory or whatever. But it was the episode where Hacksaw Jim Duggan got hit with a fireball from Skandar Akbar, Kabbalah, and it happened right here in Jackson at the Coliseum. So it happened the week before. It actually happened May 4th, and Bill Watts said it happened the day before his birthday. So that means May 5th is Bill Watts' birthday. So in a few weeks, hit Bill Watts up, tell him happy birthday from all of the fans of Ego on Break.
So Skandar was trying to turn Hacksaw into a big candle.
Yeah, and I've seen fireballs before in wrestling where the guy's on one side of the ring, he throws it across the other, and this one it was literally right here when the fireball went off. So all you see is whoa.
And I remember the next time you seen him, God, you got to realize I was a kid when he slapped him. Like he's all bandaged to hell.
It's his left side, and like Hacksaw had the beard and stuff, and like he has no beard from like here, no mustache, no beard, and it's all like burnt red, pink.
Yeah, it was weird looking.
But yeah, it cinched his hair. You know, I guess it burned all his hair off his face. Yeah. But it was just, it's weird seeing him taped up, and then you see like, hey, I got half hair over here. Like, hey, homie, shave that, shave the other half.
You know, the one
off.
time when I finally got to meet the guy, that was one time I wanted to ask him about it, and I was good. I guess I was just such starstruck, I didn't ever get to ask about that.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really cool, man. Like, I really dug it. And on that episode, I got to see the Snowman, who was the guy that Mid-South kind of picked to take Junkyard Dog's place. And the guy looks like $1 million. So I understand why they picked him, but he has no charisma at all. Like, he tries, but I just wasn't buying it.
He just wasn't Junkyard Dog.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. And another one, it was Brad Armstrong was on that show, teaming with Mike Jackson against the Freebirds. And even though they were the enhancement talent, holy smokes, is Brad Armstrong over, and this dude can work. And I'm like, I've said before, like, I'm a big fan of Brad Armstrong. I've watched a lot of his stuff, but a lot of it came from like WCW, things like that. But why in the world is this guy not on the same list as your Brian Pillmans and your Owen Harts and, you know, your Dynamite Kids? I have no idea. So whatever the Armstrong curse is, he definitely had it, and man, he shouldn't have had it.
I guess it was because he never really got over in the big names and went on WCW.
Yeah, but he should have.
But he should have, I agree. But it's booking, man.
Right, well, you know, legend has it was, you know, his daddy done a lot of people wrong when they'd come through his territory. So when Brad went through their territory, we don't give a crap that you're really good and you're really charismatic and you know, you're going to be the candy man. Give out candy, you're the candy man.
Did he really? I don't remember that. I swear I don't.
According to Tony Schiavone, Jim Hurd was like, you know, we need a damn candy man.
We had one of those, and it wasn't a good thing.
Well, that's said. Oh, we need the kids love candy. We need a candy man. So they picked Brad Armstrong to be the candy man. Why? Well, because you knew it was going nowhere. That's why.
Wow.
But yeah. Man, Brad's so underrated, you know.
Yeah, you found this stuff like in Smoky Mountain.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's why I was like, anywhere he was appreciated, you could tell he was a good wrestler.
But man, like he was tearing it up there, man. Like, I mean, you could have took out either one of the Freebirds, put him in the place on the Freebird team, and the crowd, like, there was the same reaction, because Freebirds got huge reaction because even though they were the bad guys, they were the cool bad guys, and people loved them.
Yep.
And Brad's reaction as the job guy, just getting his name introduced, was just as big as their reaction coming to the ring with music. So kudos to
the Armstrong family.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think got over more in the Armstrong family? The father, Bullets, Road Dogg, or Brad?
I mean, if you consider who made the highest.
The other brother, he was the referee. I know he wrestled too.
Yeah, well, he was part of Wild Eyed Southern Boys, and then there was another brother, and he wrestled as well. I think he was part of the Rat Pack with.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about him.
Yeah, but you know, like in Alabama, like they were your Von Erichs. You know?
Basically.
But if I had to say, okay, who made the biggest impact, it had to be Road Dogg, simply because, you know, he's still there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Leading SmackDown.
Like he's probably the guy that didn't have the Armstrong curse. Now, did he have that because he didn't go by Armstrong? You know what I mean? Like, Scott Armstrong. But no, he didn't. Yeah. Like, most of his career, he was Dixie Dynamite, so he's under mask. He wasn't an Armstrong, you know. And then, like, I think he was like Bad Street maybe in WCW. You know, and then he was, you know, the roadie, and then he was Jesse James, and then he was the road. So he never had the Armstrong last name.
That's right, because even when he was in TNA, he was BG James.
Right, and I mean, he may have had it like when he I think the Dixie Dynamite was pre-military, and then maybe he might have came in as an Armstrong, you know, right after the military before he got to WCW and wherever else he went, but. Yeah, like, I think he's the one guy that escaped the Armstrong curse. And obviously, Bullet never made it really huge outside of his small little area.
But in his territory, he was
Right.
Dusty Rhodes.
Well, yeah, well, it was because he was Dusty Rhodes.
Exactly.
You know. But
I know Jim Cornette said that was one of the first people he wanted to get a hold of when he started Smoky Mountain. So,
yeah, and then Bullet can talk now.
And he was just more or less the what would you call it? The powers that
The
be.
commissioner or whatever. Yeah. I remember, like, I've only seen probably a handful of episodes of Smoky Mountain, but it's always funny because he would have like the plaid shirt on with a tie, and it was all short sleeve shirt. Like, well, you couldn't have looked more horrible than you do. He had to work hard to look like that. But I've met Bullet, been in the locker room with him, and he's very, very cool.
You gotta tell the stories that you brought up Bullet Bob Armstrong about when the show didn't go as planned, and he said he never cracked a smile. He took his stuff out, and then he just all of a sudden starts.
Oh yeah, well, there's a story going around where they went to an event, and they were gonna make him like pay to put his merchandise out, and he was like, "Nope, not gonna do it." And they were like, "We're gonna have to." And said, just as easy as he was taking it out, he easily put it back in. I said, "All right, let's go." And he just walked out the door. And like being in the locker room with him, because at the show I was at, we went down to Florida for a promotion. Let's just say it didn't do what they wanted it to do. And Bullet walked in and said, "Sorry, fellas, the house knot's here." And he shook everybody's hand and he left. Like, there wasn't enough people to see Bullet, you know. But I got to take my picture with him, and I don't normally take pictures with a lot of guys.
No,
I've
he's
got
one
a
of the
few
few
guys,
I've taken
but
with, yeah.
I mean, I've been on some big shows with guys, but because of the atmosphere we was in, where it wasn't a lot of people there, you know, I didn't feel out of place, like, you know, talking to him and knowing that he was leaving. And I got to have probably a 3 or 4 minute conversation with him, and we talked about, you know, some Continental. I'm a huge Continental fan, so very cool just to have that moment. And I've been in the locker room with the Road Dogg a couple times. Matter of fact, the first time I went to Florida, Road Dogg was the guy running the locker room.
You told me that. That's right.
So it was super cool to be able to say, "Hey, I worked for Road Dogg." But other than that, man, like, you know, Armstrongs were over. You know, at least in the South.
In the South, yeah.
I mean, I'm still a huge Wild Eyed Southern Boys fan. You know, and if I'm not mistaken, the Wild Eyed Southern Boys became Young Pistol Steve and Young Pistol Tracy.
God, that's right.
Yeah, in WWF or whatever. So
yeah, they didn't last long, but yeah, they did do that.
Yeah. So you know, they all kind of made it there. They just
something about Southern gimmicks in WWE just never make it.
And it's
like
funny.
Austin has to be the most Southern person to ever made it.
Yeah, and it's funny because
exception.
Vince was raised in North Carolina.
Vince is a trailer park trash guy, man. And he might not want to admit it, but he was raised in a trailer park, you know, legit. But he like cannot stand like the poor Southern people.
Well, I mean,
reason.
I understand, you know, like you kind of resent,
you are what
you know,
you are,
right?
Man.
But yeah, well, it just says it's two. You know, one area. You know, like people in the North aren't gonna, you know, get emotionally attached to the Southern people or whatever. But you know, I think like Hacksaw Jim Duggan,
was a fluke, huh?
Yeah, Steve Altman, Hillbilly Jim. I mean, there's been characters.
Yeah, but I mean, ain't many. Dusty. But if you look at Dusty, really, he was a common man at that point.
Yeah, and he didn't come off Southern. You know,
no. But anywhere else, he was Southern as hell.
Right.
So.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. Man, anything else?
That just kind of blows my mind.
Yeah. I didn't realize we were gonna get on Armstrong talk, but hey, I'm glad we did.
Hey, whatever. I told you, it just kind of goes wherever. You know, us talking.
Right. So, I'll tell you, I saw this, and I think it's a huge opportunity for a lot of guys. And some people are probably gonna say, "No, it's stupid to do this," but I just saw that CZW opened. They're going to start doing their Dojo Wars again.
Yeah.
And they hadn't done them since January.
Yeah, it's been a while because I usually was watching them.
So it's cool, a chance for, you know, guys that maybe nobody's ever heard of to be able to go up and work out with the trainers there at CZW and get on in a CZW event, so to speak. I mean, it's small, like, you know, sometimes it's packed in there. I mean, it's just a little warehouse.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's probably 40 people there. Sometimes there's 140.
I was gonna say the ones I've seen are pretty packed.
Yeah. Well, I started watching one this morning, and it probably had 50, 60 people in there. So.
But then they stick it up on YouTube too.
Yeah. So, right. So you get that
if the
exposure.
right people see it. You know?
Yeah. So I mean, there's some videos been seen by thousands and thousands of people.
Look, I like Grado, but like he's a YouTube phenomenon.
Yeah, he's not.
You know, and he's not the best wrestler ever, but he's like entertaining as hell, and he got himself over with YouTube.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Well, you know, like Mr. Woo 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 and WWE did said, "Woo woo bye bye."
We're like Mr. Stardust.
True, yeah. He's stirred my brain up.
What'd you say? You look to the stars?
You know now it's cloudy.
So.
But yeah, I mean, it just depends on you get your stuff out there and how you get out there.
Right. And there's a lot of guys that have, you know, grown a following through YouTube, and that's something that we're trying to do now. You know, maybe we're not as up to par as other promotions, but we're starting to try to do some things that are exclusive to Facebook, exclusive to YouTube. You know, if you don't kick off your life in a headlock, you go on 8 months at a time without putting one. I'm gonna take that.
Ain't my damn fault. We get some new wrestlers around there that I ain't interviewed.
I'm gonna take that away from you and do it myself.
Ain't my fault.
So
I can't interview the same people over and over and over.
I mean,
and
technically
over
you can. You just gotta change the questions.
Yeah, but golly.
Life in a headlock continued.
Yeah, exactly.
So well, we've got there's gonna be a couple new people. Are you gonna make the Friday event in Meridian?
Friday I had to work, bro.
Well, you just quit your job. Work's overrated.
Work like that.
So, well, I may try to grab an interview or two for you.
I'm too fat to start.
And let you put it up on the Life in the Headlock channel. There's going to be some new faces there, and there's going to be some old faces that maybe hadn't been seen in a while, and maybe can get a continuation of what they've been up to since then.
I say it was easier when I wasn't working and was hurt. How weird that sound.
Well, yeah, I can break your leg again if you want me to.
Oh, hell to no.
So, but hopefully there's some things coming. We've got a few ideas we're going to play with as kind of YouTube exclusive ideas for Ego, similar to Ego and Break here. I've been playing around with this idea of wrestlers battling off in a battle of catchphrases. So I think I'm going to give that a try this weekend and maybe get that up for you on the channel. Okay. And if you like the way it goes over, let us know. We're going to call it Catch As, Catch Can, Catch Phrase. So
they're going to yeet.
Yeah, yeet. So it's definitely probably going to be a yeet and a woo. So if we get a woo, and a yeet, then we got it whipped.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Yeah. So study up on your catchphrases for all the wrestlers out there watching. And hopefully this will be pretty fun.
True.
And, you know, we get a few views off of it.
Snap into it?
Yeah, snap into a Slim Jim. Would you think that would count as a catchphrase, even though it was a commercial?
He used it in wrestling too, though.
He told him snap into a Slim Jim?
He said it was... You have to look up some of his interviews, but he did. Yeah, he said dig it.
So I think it's a cool concept. I haven't seen anybody doing it. I really want to give it a shot. I think we're going to be at a new venue, being in Meridian at the MCC Delaney Center, which is a converted Walmart since we're on the Chinese Walmarts. But it's a little nicer than what Walmart is. Going to have a big stage and that kind of thing is the way I understand it. So pretty excited about that.
I bet you still got people at Walmart.
I hope we get a lot of them. But pre-sale are selling out really fast. We've only got a few pre-sale tickets left. We set out 200 to sell, and I think they've pretty much real close to reaching that limit.
Cool.
So, you know, and if we go over 200, trust me, we'll sell you a ticket. So we're looking forward to that. It's going to be a new town. Hopefully it's a town we can come back to. Meridian could be a big market for us, and excited about that. Excited to be working with Meridian Community College, and that's this Friday, April 27th, Meridian, Mississippi, Eagle Mania. Main event sees Ray Fury defend his WWA heavyweight title against J.D. Jenkins. Ray Fury won it in a tournament in Puerto Rico, and so yeah, Olay for sure. And you know, it's going to be the first title defense, and it's going to be here on American soil. I know Puerto Rico is kind of unofficial American state, so to speak. So looking forward to that. Yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah, they could be number 51.
Not even trying.
There's actually there's people in Puerto Rico that's trying. Like they're already like under the American kind of rule. They kind of recognize America as their home country or whatever, I guess you could say. But yeah, there's some things, some politicians over there is trying to get it to be number 51. So how crazy would that be in our generation? We get to see a new state.
Free State of Jones and Barry Wolf is in it.
There you go. Absolutely. So, hey guys, May 19th, Hideaway, Jackson, Mississippi, Path to Pride 5, big event, and we'll see you there later.